What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Magomed Ankalaev calls out Alex Pereira. Last night, Magomed went on X and called out Alex Pereira for wanting the rematch during Ramadan again. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. Magomed said the following: breaking news, Alex now asking he want to fight me during Ramadan again. I need more time, and the other clown, he have to do his homework. Let me fight Carlos. I think he's more dangerous than all of them. If Magomed's comments are correct and Alex does want a rematch during Ramadan, we won't see Alex Pereira fight until February 2026, which seems very unlikely for Pereira to sit out that long. Renato Moicano breaks silence on his UFC loss to Beneil Dariush. Here's what Moicano had to say.
Thank you so much for the support. Tonight was not my night. I got a little bit tired, but Dariush executed a very good game plan on the second round. He took me down. I need to get way better on the takedown defense. But it is what it is, you know. I have to get back to the gym training. I know it's all bullshit. Everything that I will say, like, nobody cares. But I'm just trying to say that I'm healthy, I'm good, and thank you for the support. I need to get back. I need to get better. And I will.
Jon Jones reacts to Tom Aspinall's PED comments. If you thought all the drama between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones was over, now that Bones is retired, it looks like that may not be the case. Now that the UFC and Jones have finally confirmed that the decorated fighter has hung up the gloves, Aspinall headed to Vegas this week to sit down with the promotion's brass. While in Nevada, the heavyweight champion sat down with Ariel Helwani, and not surprisingly, the question of whether Jones is the GOAT came up. While discussing that, and the fact that Jones did test positive for banned substances during his career, they both said that this disqualifies Bones from being the GOAT. In addition, Aspinall proceeded to share his thoughts on fighters who do take PEDs.
If you're a sprinter, for example, you do 100 meters and you take PEDs and you win a race, you become faster than people who are not taking PEDs from that. That's okay. You're a cheat, you've won, they'll take your title off you or whatever. If your job is to hurt another person, physically hurt another person, which could potentially redirect the rest of their life post-fighting, you're an absolute piece of and you should never be able to fight again if you have any PED stuff. Like, it's like taking a gun to a knife fight. Do you know what I mean? It's like taking a knife to a bare knuckle fight. Like, how can you look yourself in the mirror when you know that you're cheating and you could potentially damage the other person for life? Like, it's disgusting.
Well, it wasn't long before Aspinall's comments got back to Jones, who followed up with this response via social media. You silly goose, I never took the evidence is all there, hence why I was able to fight again, and the rules have been changed for everyone across all sports. Call me the game changer. It should be noted that in 2014, Jones was flagged for the anabolic Turinabol, and his win over Daniel Cormier was overturned, but he and his camp insisted the controversial star never knowingly took any type of PED. But what do you think of Aspinall's comments? And should Jones be removed from the GOAT discussion due to his issues with USADA? If so, who do you believe is the greatest of all time? As we're talking about Jon Jones, Dana White was asked about Jones's comments on social media this week. According to Jones, he told the UFC back in November that he was going to retire, but they kept trying to convince him to fight Aspinall. Well, during the UFC 317 post-fight presser, Dana White was asked to clarify the comments.
I don't know, did you see his series of tweets over the last few days inferring that basically he told you guys that he was retired last November and that your efforts to make the Aspinall fight were basically futile?
It's not true. Is that what you wanted to ask me?
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. But what do you make of him coming out and saying saying contrary to what you've said there?
I don't know. I'm telling you the truth. Believe who you want to believe.
Dana White not impressed with Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan successfully made weight to be the backup for the lightweight title fight at UFC 317, but apparently that doesn't mean he's locked in for a shot at the lightweight crown. Many believe that Tsarukyan has been in the UFC's doghouse ever since January, when just hours before he was set to fight Islam Makhachev at UFC 311, he withdrew from the fight. The reason that was given was that Tsarukyan was dealing with some sort of back issue. But despite that, and despite the fact that he was and is the #1 contender, Dana White announced that Tsarukyan would not fight for the belt next. Well, following Friday's weigh-ins, White spoke with Helen Yee. White was asked if, because Tsarukyan had made weight to be the backup for the Ilia Topuria Charles Oliveira fight, if he's next in line for a title shot. White said this.
No, it's a good step in the right direction, let's put it that way.
So given what White has said before, and because Tsarukyan has not fought now since April of 2024, that response isn't all that surprising. After all, it's been over a year now since he last fought. After making way for the backup position, Tsarukyan also spoke with Sportsnet. While doing so, the powerful lightweight reported he's willing to make weight again to be the backup for the July 19th fight between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway.
Weight cut was good, was easy, and I never have an issue with the weights. And everybody thinks like what happened in California because of weight cut. I was good with my weight, and I just hurt my back, and I couldn't move. That's why I couldn't cut my weight. And now, if UFC say like you have a fight next week, next month, so I'll take it as well. Maybe if they say me like you want to be back up again, and if there is a chance that someone gonna pull out, yes, why not?
Tsarukyan is itching to fight, that's for sure, but you gotta wonder if making yet another cut to 155 just a few weeks from now is the wise thing to do. Now, Yi also spoke with Paddy Pimblett during the fight week. The baddie was asked if he thinks Tsarukyan is the most deserving of a title shot, and the charismatic fighter said this: "A couple of months ago, I would have said yeah, but then he started chatting about me. So no, the little can sit and wait and go win a fight before he gets a title shot. Him. If Ilia wins, I wouldn't be surprising if I end up fighting him next, but we'll just see what happens. It's not up to me. It's up to Dana White, Hunter Campbell, and Sean Shelby who fights him next." Then, during the UFC 317 post-fight press conference, Dana White was asked about Arman again, and Dana randomly revealed that Arman didn't make weight for his fight against Islam Makhachev. Here's what he had to say during the post-fight press conference.
With Arman Tsarukyan weighing in as the backup, is he getting back in the good graces with you and the...
Well, it's not about getting back in the good graces. It's about, the guy had the opportunity to fight for a title and didn't make weight. It's just, you couldn't up anything worse than that. But he proved, now that he's not fighting for the title, and he was here as a backup fighter, he made weight. So it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Who do you think should fight for the belt next? And if Arman isn't getting a title shot, who do you want him to battle next? What's next for Alexandre Pantoja after UFC 317 win? Alexandre Pantoja has a ways to go before he reaches Demetrius Johnson's historic record for title defenses. It's 11 if you need a refresher, but the Brazilian star is already making a compelling case that he is one of the greatest flyweights ever. Pantoja faced Kai Kara-France for a second time on Saturday night, but this time around, the Brazilian fighter finished the hard-hitting flyweight. In their first fight, during the Ultimate Fighter back in 2016, Pantoja recorded a decision victory over Kara-France. This time around, however, Pantoja finished the deal with a rear naked choke in round 3 after taking Kara-France down repeatedly from the opening bell. After the fight, the champion was asked about the possibility of facing Joshua Van, who defeated Brandon Royval by a unanimous decision earlier in the night. Van entered the octagon and proceeded to face off with the champion. So given the fact that the UFC let Van in the cage for that promo, it seems pretty clear that the rising flyweight will be next for Pantoja. As for Kai Kara-France, it'll be interesting to see what comes next for the New Zealand fighter. Since Kara-France had lost 2 of his last 3 prior to UFC 317, not everyone was super keen on the fact that he was tapped for a title shot. But because Pantoja has been so dominant and defended the belt 3 times before Saturday, there wasn't a lot of options for the champ. Kara-France was ranked number 4 heading into UFC 317, so it's almost certain he'll be tapped for a bout with a top 5 ranked fighter. But given that he's now gone 2 and 3 in his last 5, you gotta wonder if he may be relegated to the role of gatekeeper at this point. But what do you think? Who do you want to see Kara-France fight next? And do you see Van ending the reign of Pantoja? UFC updates. Let's take a look at some UFC and fight updates. The UFC is heading back to Shanghai, China this summer for a card on August 23rd. And recently, Dana White revealed that Chinese officials are going to take him on a must-see tour. While speaking with Helen Yi recently, White reported the following: "I'm doing a whole tour of China in August. The government is actually taking me on a tour. I'm going to the Shaolin Temple, the Wall of China, and I'm going to do all kinds of cool out there. I'm looking forward to it." Recently, the UFC announced that Brazil's Johnny Walker will throw hands with China's Zhang Mingyang in the headliner. In the co-main, Brian Ortega will take on former bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling. Who do you see winning these pivotal fights? And speaking of UFC Shanghai, recently, Nolan King reported he's hearing Song Yadong and Rob Font will not fight at the upcoming card, as had been rumored. Given that the main event and co-headliner are now set, this isn't all that surprising, as you would think Yadong will likely get tapped for a co-main or main event next, if he's booked to fight on a Fight Night card. He's currently ranked number 5 and is coming off a victory over former champ Henry Cejudo. In other fight news related to Shanghai, recently, Marcel Dorf reported that Ray Tsuruya and Namjurgal Tumendemberel will battle at the Road to UFC semifinals on August 22nd. Tsuruya is coming off his first pro loss as he dropped a unanimous decision to rising flyweight Joshua Van in March. Tumendemberel, meanwhile, has not fought since November, when he lost via split decision to Carlos Hernandez. It's being reported by Teal Boy KK that Muhammad Yahya and Stephen Wynn will battle at the UFC's July 26 card in Abu Dhabi. Yahya is looking to get back on track after dropping back-to-back fights to Caio Fernandez and Trevor Peek. Wynn is also coming off a loss as he dropped a unanimous decision to Jarno Ahrens in March of 2024. The American had won 3 straight prior to the loss. And Nolan King recently shared that Davey Grant will take on Damon Blackshear at the aforementioned Abu Dhabi card. Grant recorded a unanimous decision victory over Ramon Taveras in his last fight, which took place in December. Meanwhile, Blackshear last fought in April when he recorded a UD victory over Alan Tejeli. The American has won 3 in a row now after losing consecutive fights to Mario Bautista and Montel Jackson. Which of these bouts mentioned are you most hyped to see? What's next for Ilia Topuria after UFC 317 win? Ilia Topuria may not be the biggest star in the UFC just yet, but following UFC 317, El Matador can't be far off. Not only did Topuria win his second UFC title on Saturday night, the former featherweight champion made good on his prediction that he would put Charles Oliveira away in the very first round. Early on, it looked like Oliveira's size and power could be a problem for Topuria. But after the fight spilled to the ground, the Spain-based fighter worked his way out of Oliveira hunting for a leg lock. Not long after, Topuria sent Oliveira to the land of shadows and ghosts with a vicious right hook and left combo. During his post-fight interview, with 2 belts on his shoulders, Topuria proceeded to reference Arman Tsarukyan's back issues at UFC 311 before calling out Paddy Pimblett. The baddie came into the octagon, and as the two exchanged words, Topuria pushed the English fighter. So it remains to be seen if the UFC books Topuria versus Pimblett. While Pimblett is coming off an impressive finish of Michael Chandler, he's ranked number 8. Will the UFC tap Paddy to fight for the title? Ilia reacted to Paddy entering the ring and calling him out following his win in a backstage interview and went off. Here's what he had to say.
Now, we saw Paddy Pimblett come in there. If you were to fight Paddy Pimblett, do you think that might be at a different weight division? Because he looked like a heavyweight in there. What was going through your mind when Paddy Pimblett stepped in the octagon?
Like heavyweight, he's that little pimple. He's fat. He's not someone that looks big because he has that muscle. It's because he's very undisciplined. ¿Cómo es undisciplined? Fat.
What was going through your mind in the octagon when he walked in? Did you think it might get physical?
I saw fear in his eyes, and the eyes never lie.
As for Dana White, he wasn't happy about the whole Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett face-off at the end of UFC 317. Here's what Dana had to say during the post-fight presser.
Well, I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there. I was already back in my room, or that would have never happened. But that's not the fight. It's just, yeah.
It was fun to watch.
It shouldn't happen.
It was fun to watch.
Well, that's not really what we do. If it was fun to watch or not, it's just that shouldn't happen. Plus, he wins a second title in a higher division. It was a bad call by whoever the hell let him in there.
As for Ilia, could another option be Islam Makhachev after Makhachev faces Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight title, regardless of whether he's holding the welterweight belt? You'd think that Topuria's win tonight would make Makhachev more interested in fighting him. As in the past, the Dagestani smashing machine argued facing Topuria would not do anything for his legacy. What do you think? Who do you want to see the new lightweight king fight next? After the fight, Conor McGregor reacted on X by saying, "Congrats on winning my old titles, Ilia." He said he's gonna rest his balls on Paddy's head too. Haha, fair play. Good lightweight scrap that one is as well, in my opinion. UFC is back or still missing something? 3 knockouts back to back is very good. No one gonna deny the knockout. I like with a red rose emoji. Unlucky to Charles also. Styles make fights. You are a tremendous and legendary UFC fighter. Rest up. Heck, even Kamaru Usman went on X and wrote the following this morning. I've been saying it. He's the truth. Sheesh, Ilia. As for Charles Oliveira, he broke his silence on his UFC loss against Ilia Topuria. Charles first went on Instagram and said the following. It wasn't how we wanted it to be, but for the best. I want to thank everyone for the affection and wonderful energy. God bless you all. Then he went on X to say, my apologies. There's no doubt that Oliveira remains a very talented and dangerous fighter, but he's turning 36 later this year, and he's lost 3 of his last 5 bouts. So the legend's days as a championship contender could be over. Could a rematch with Beneil Dariush be on deck, who defeated Renato Moicano via decision on Saturday? Paddy Pimblett sends a warning to Ilia Topuria after Charles Oliveira knockout. Paddy Pimblett sent a warning to Ilia Topuria following his knockout win over Charles Oliveira. Ilia Topuria put Charles out cold last night at UFC 317, and immediately following his win, Paddy began the call-outs. During a show for ESPN, Paddy expressed his hate for Ilia and claims that he doesn't even want to finish Ilia until he disfigures his face with elbows. Here's what Paddy had to say.
We've got history. You don't even need to sell that fight. It sells itself. Two people who genuinely dislike each other. You don't really get that. We haven't seen that since Khabib and McGregor. Right. Two people who actually hate each other, because I hate him. I wouldn't even want to finish him fast. I'd want to finish him with a minute left in the fight after I've elbowed him 700 times. You know what I mean? I'd want to disfigure him.
When he touched you, could you tell anything in that moment? Did you feel his strength? Was there anything when he actually made contact with you?
He didn't get a big push. He only done a little one, but he feels weak. You know what I mean? And as I say, he's there.
He was smaller than you, meaningfully. What do you weigh right now?
I'm about 195.
You look good.
We have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day.